We do have a quorum present now. I'm Mayor Rick Rosenberg, and we have present from the council, Councilman Jarrett Waite, Councilman Denny Drake, and Councilwoman Krista Hinton. I won't mention that today's her birthday. We appreciate her being here. And since in honor of her birthday, we've asked her to lead the opening ceremony. And so we do want to welcome everyone who's here. I know we've got a lot of family members here for a special event on council. Welcome. Hope you feel welcome. We'll begin the meeting with an opening ceremony and pledge of allegiance. We've asked Councilwoman Hinton if she would lead us in that. Would everyone please rise and salute the flag?
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dear Father in heaven, we are so grateful to be gathered here today as members of this community of Santa Clara. We're grateful for our residents and grateful for the culture and feeling of family that we enjoy here. We're grateful for all the blessings that thou gives to us and would ask thee to watch over our neighborhoods and our community and keep us safe. Please be with our first responders as they seek to help us and protect us and keep them safe from harm and accident. Please bless our area with the rain that we need throughout the whole state. Please bless our country. Please bless our leaders that they will make good decisions. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Krista. Council, conflicts and disclosures. Does anybody have any conflicts of interest or do they need to disclose tonight as part of this agenda? No. Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move into the working agenda. We do have a public hearing, but well, I don't know if I postpone this and all those people will leave. Maybe I can draw a public comment. So we'll follow the agenda. There is one public hearing tonight. It's a public hearing to receive public input regarding amendment to the fiscal year 21-22 budget. Brock?
Debbie will be
handling
this.
You got a big crowd tonight, Debbie, so don't embarrass yourself.
I was just going to say, I need to know what I'm doing. All this right here. All right. Every year, of course, we need to amend the budget due to unforeseen expenses that have come through. And so I will start with the general fund. And we have to be, in order to be compliant, we have to have our revenue over the expenses. If our expenses come in higher than revenue, then we will get an audit finding, and we don't want that. So we try to guesstimate the best we can so we don't get into that situation. So under that sheet right there, the revenue and taxes. So you have the general fund is the first one. We have the revenues, and the revenues, we just, that shows you the different variances you have. First column is the amended budget or recommended amended budget. That's tongue twister. Second column is the actual budget right now. And then the third shows the increase or decrease and then the change. But the revenues is just the bottom line where we need to get the revenues equal because they have to equal the expenditures. So I'm going to focus on the expenditures. If you'll scroll down a little, please. Where is? So I'm just going to go briefly by the departments. So on the admin and court and all that, I ran payroll and just did an estimate of what we'd have on payroll expenses. So nothing big in those departments. And then in the admin, we also have some estimated expenses coming in IT services and legal. So between the three, admin has an adjustment. You see the $53,546. Court, sorry, I skipped over that. Salaries and wages, and then just estimated state fines that we'll have to pay to make sure we encompass all the expenses to come through throughout the rest of the month, which is crazy. We're there. Fire and EMS, just a reminder, we are merging them. So next year, so it's all in that line right now, but if you look at our current financials, you'll see them separate. I just combined them because that's how it will look next year. So between the two, but the main adjustments are due to the change in how I'm doing the accounting. We did not budget for the payments to Ivans for their share. And so I've added that in, and that was $258,000. And then salaries between the two is about 50,000 for the remainder, the last payment, the last payroll, and then just more operating supplies. So total adjustment between the two is 334,000 or 333. Building and planning, just again, salaries, wages, legal services, and professional services increase of, let's see, I'm getting lost on between spreadsheets. 43,511. Public Works, salaries, and then chip seal, we had more come in due to timing, I believe, from last year. So we estimated 150,000 more, added more to that line, and then capital equipment because of, did you look at water or was it capital equipment in Public Works? Was it the
one that we looked at earlier today was in water.
water? Okay. So I'm not quite sure exactly, but I went by with what Dustin said was going to come that we haven't paid for and what was already budgeted. And just, of course, we always want to err to the high side on the expenses just so we don't run into expenses higher than revenues.
The main one in public works, so is the chip seal, as we've talked about, as prices came in high, oil, everything, trying to stay on our plan of trying to do the roads every 5 to 6 years. And so we did increase a lot of Dustin to continue to stay on that path. We had to increase that budget.
And then the other big one, big department, we are again combining parks and sports field. So I have that combined up there. So that is both. We are adding 184,000, which is just across the board for making sure that we're covered under fuel, operating supplies, salaries, repairs and maintenance, utilities. So there was no true big line adjustment. It's just across the board. We just wanted to make sure we had enough in there to cover the year-end expenses. So between the two, a total increase of the 184. Sorry, I'm repeating myself. I'm clearly nervous with all of these people. Swiss days, just a small adjustment for the salaries to come. Economic development, same thing. And then RAP tax is included in there. So overall general fund adjustment is going to be 865,113. Any questions on there so far?
Questions, council? Go ahead, Deb.
Okay. And then we received the ARPA funds, so we need to budget that. So we will just be making the amendment to account for the money that we received. So it'll be the 498, excuse me. And then impact funds, the impact fees, I don't have it listed because we are fine. We don't need to adjust. Thankfully, we've budgeted correctly there and the expenditures are lower than the revenue. The water fund, a total adjustment of 577,000. And it looks like we budget or add depreciation in when we do the budget amendment. So depreciation wasn't added in originally. And that was 475,000. So that's the bulk of it. And then we still have some estimated for water meters to come in since we're now finally receiving them. Capital equipment, that was the south, right? Brock, the South
Hill
water line
improvement. Yeah.
So we added a little more to encompass that. And then it's just salary. So total adjustment was the 577. Sewer fund, we just have little salaries. Repair and maintenance, we want to make sure we're covered. And then big one was 100,000 for depreciation because we book that when the auditors come, they run our asset schedules and they tell us what to book for depreciation. So sewer fund is 117,000. The big boy is electric power. Total adjustment, 2 million. But purchasing power is the main bump in that. We are estimating another 770,000 that we didn't have guesstimated, and depreciations 550,000. New subdivision expense, because we pay for the expenses and then we get the revenue through the, I don't know what line, but some line we get the revenue back from the developers.
Yeah, the developers pay. We don't have a budget of revenue or budget and expenditure, not knowing all what subdivisions will come in and at what time, and especially now. Well, they're buying the transformers. I mean, having to buy them 10, 12 months out. So there was no expenditure budgeted nor revenue budget. So they're both being amended here to account for what we've had this fiscal year.
And then salary and wages, and then supplies and meters. Another one was UAMPs as well for the ownership costs. So total power adjustment for UAMPs is just shy of $1 million. And then miscellaneous generator expenses, we're paying for Wheeler to fix the current generators, our older ones, and we still have an estimated 135,000 coming in on that. So total power you see is the 2,060,500. And then stormwater, a total amendment of 211,000. Depreciation is the big item there again, and wages and repair and maintenance, just to make sure we are covered. And that completes the total amendment,
Okay.
recommended amendment between all funds.
Questions for Deb, council? Any questions? Talked about nearly all of these things, so thank you, Deb. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Okay, with all them people out there, I gotta have one come up for the public hearing portion. We'll now open the public hearing and ask anyone if you'd like to come up and comment on the budget. Give you that opportunity. Just come to the mic, state your name. We have prizes. All right.
I'll get me up. Justin Kaplan, 1454 Boyce Pond Circle. Nothing specific, just Jarrett, thank you for correcting me, informing me a little bit about that last budget when I commented on Facebook. And I know this has nothing to do with that budget. I'm just always wary of government expanding to meet. So as we see revenues or things increase, I'm concerned that we just grow the size of the city to, and I don't mean the size of the population, but the city government to meet that. I would hope that we're putting plenty in reserves for capital projects, things like Jarrett told me. So that's my comment. Just as we see better than expected revenues, then I would hope we would take that into consideration and not necessarily meet that with new expenditures and increasing the expenses. I don't want to see any tax increases like I see around the state happening in other municipalities. Let's keep the government small and keep doing a decent job. But just decent. It doesn't have to be a great job. Just which y'all do. I'm not saying you don't, but and all of you people. But it just needs to be a decent job. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Anybody else? Okay, having said that, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Go back to the agenda. And the consent agenda, council, you've got the approval of the claims and minutes from the June 8th, 2022 regular city council meeting, claims through the 22nd of June. You can see the calendar there. The city office will be closed on the 2 holidays in July, and our work meeting is on the 6th. It looks to be a long agenda, so kind of plan that way. And regular meetings on the 13th and 27th. Any question on the consent agenda? If not, I would look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved. We approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
A motion by Denny and a second by Krista. Any question on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
This is a money item roll call. Sorry, Krista.
Aye.
Denny.
Aye.
Jarrett. Aye. Sorry about that. Okay, general business. On number 1, the badge pinning for the fire department. Chief?
All right, so we're super excited to have these four gentlemen. Great addition to the team. They got a lot of experience. We're lucky to have them. So I'll have each person come up individually. We'll start with Captain Monahan. If you want to just come up to the side here, and you can have your significant other come up with you. I'm going to read a little bio on them that they provided me. Short, you guys can get to know them a little bit better. So Jason brings over 19 years of fire experience. He spent 7 years with the Forest Service, working around Type 3 engines, which are their wildland engines, helicopter, heli-tac crew, which is they fly in and drop hand crews off. He has 12 years with Kern County Fire Department in California. They cover 8,400 square miles, so it's a pretty large department. 10 of those years, Jason functioned as an engineer, so that means he drove and pumped the apparatus. It was stationed at one of their busiest stations, running over 3,500 calls a year. So he looks forward to bringing his experience to the community, and is going to be proud to serve City of Santa Clara Islands. So we'll have your significant other pin your badge on. Yeah, and if you want to, you guys can face the other way too if you need to get photos. And we'll do our oath of office after. We'll have you guys all come back up over on the side here, and we'll have you do that. So we'll have Logan Costello come up. All right, so Logan began his career as a firefighter with the Forest Service as well. In Southern California, worked on wildland fire engines as well, Type 3 engines. He was also a member of the Mill Creek Hot Shots. So that's a 20-member hand crewed, very elite crew. He worked in Rancho Cucamonga for several years. So, and I'm very familiar with Logan and his family. So I'm happy to have him here. And they moved up here to Utah in December of 21. And I believe his wife works up in Cedar City. And they have their two daughters, Charlotte and Lucy. All right. Good. All right, we're gonna have Ryan come on up. All right, so Ryan Moore began his career in 2006 working for a private ambulance company in LA County. In 2010, earned his paramedic license, performed his field internship in the city of Los Angeles. As a paramedic, he worked for various agencies, San Bernardino County Fire, Beaver Dam, Littlefield in Arizona. In addition to his employment, he was also an educator, a preceptor with UCLA, Dixie State University, and Crafton Hills College. And Ryan's also one of our part-time paramedics as well. So we're happy to have him come on full-time, and he's going to be a great asset. This could be tricky. There we go. All right, Dustin Benoit. Had trouble with his last name, but I think I got it down now. Okay. Dustin's a tremendous amount of experience. Quite a cool bio here, but grew up in South Rapids, Minnesota. 18, he served in the United States Marine Corps. So 8 years deployed in both Iraq and Afghanistan, which is awesome. I'm happy to have you. It was during that time he became interested in the medical field. After his service as a Marine, he moved to St. George to be closer to your wife's family. Shortly after, Dustin attended Dixie State College, where he obtained his advanced EMT. So that's the middle step before paramedic. And he also worked for the medical department at Iron County Jail. So other employment as a medic, worked with Gold Cross, currently with Gold Cross, Dixie Regional's ER, and part-time for Ivan's Fire a few years ago, right? 17, 16, back there somewhere. In 2006, he earned his paramedic license, moved to Texas, working in Acadian ambulance, and then did a lot of rural transport, long travel distances, which is going to be great for us out on the 91. And also became a firefighter with the City of Buda Fire Department. During COVID, moved back to St. George, became
Current job is full-time firefighter with Cedar Mountain Fire. He also instructs with, in EMS with Dameron Valley Fire. So in his personal time, he enjoys spending time with family, hiking, going to the gym. He's a fit guy. I can attest to that. One of our fastest PT time. Been married for 10 years, has 3 children, 1 girl, 2 boys, ages 8, 6, and 5. All right. Awesome. All right. We'll have you guys come on back up. We'll have you stand, I'm guessing, over here. That'll work. And we'll have Chris Shelley do the oath of office.
Stop.
If you'll raise your right hand.
Never mind, I can do that. I'll do it. They turned this way. I thought they were gonna look that way.
Do you solemnly swear that and affirm to perform all your duties faithfully and honestly to the best of your abilities and to uphold and follow the high standards and values of Santa Clara Ivans Fire Rescue Department and to protect the lives and property of the public that you sworn to serve? Okay. Good.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you to the families that have come tonight. That it means a lot from this side to see your support of these fine gentlemen. Welcome to Santa Clara Fire. We appreciate you, Santa Clara Ivans Fire. I keep forgetting them. That's why we get in trouble with the paper all the time. But thank you for being here. Thank you for your service. You guys have been heroes of mine since I was a kid. So we appreciate you. We appreciate what you do for the community and the neighbors. And thanks again. Okay. Anything else?
Is this on? Yep, it is. Their first shift will be next week, so we'll be starting on the 30th.
Awesome. Great. We're in good hands, council, despite what the paper says. Okay, item number C2. St. George Regional Hospital update. Stephanie Maloney, secretary. You see Terry Draper back there?
I'm not Stephanie Maloney. Congratulations to these new hires. They're amazing, such experience and such expertise. It's nice to have that kind of background. Even though they may be with Santa Clara and Ivans, they serve the whole community. And I've done enough rodeos that I've used a lot of them in a lot of different capacities. And we certainly do appreciate their impact with St. George Regional Hospital. So congratulations, welcome, and we hope you enjoy being here. Cindy Woodbury Gilbert. I have lived here half my life, which I can't believe. My father grew up in Hurricane and has the genealogy that goes back to the first Dr. Woodbury in St. George. And so the hospital has been very, very important to me. When I was first involved, my mother was a downwinder. My father became a quadriplegic with a tragic accident. And so the facilities and the opportunities to have first-class health care was very, very important to me. And I also have a brother who's a cardiothoracic surgeon. So all of those things, how nice it is that we have this gym in the center of the desert where, don't tell the rest of the world, although they already know it. We're pleased to have it. So that's why I volunteer my time, is because I want my neighbors and especially my family and employees to have the best health care possible. In the last year, St. George Regional Hospital has provided more than $23 million in charity care, serving over 20,000 individual cases. The charity care provision is part of our mission. Obviously, most of you already know that in 1975, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints donated its 15 hospitals to a newly formed not-for-profit organization, Intermountain Healthcare. And you've seen a lot of iterations go through, which we're currently continuing to do, continuing to build and grow and become more service-minded for our people. Washington County was also looking to get out of the healthcare business early in 1976. So I think Chris has a video queued with Dave Jepson, who is he just passed away in April, lived in Tokerville, and was a lifelong resident of the area and loved Intermountain. So if you want to watch that, and then we'll chat about it a minute after that.
1996, there was an amazing act. That act was a handshake between two great individuals who had a lot of integrity. That act was performed quietly and without ceremony. Each individual represented their organization in a way that would shape the future of healthcare. And no one could have known that it was a handshake and a promise that would define healthcare for our region.
In the early part of 1976, we'd been just about a year in getting Intermountain Healthcare started. I was told that an investor-owned company had come down and been talking to the county commissioners here. And when I came down, I said, I understand you guys are thinking about selling the hospital. He said, we don't ever go through another major hospital project like we've just been through. It's just drained us. We need to build a new prison. We've got some streets and bridges that need to be repaired. And this other company has offered us several $1 million. And we thought we ought to come down and just see what you'd be willing to do with us and whether or not maybe an option we ought to look at too. Told them about our mission statement, how we felt about the employees and how we valued them, and how determined we were to keep costs as low as possible and really work hard on quality and try to make this system really become one of great reputation. And so that's what I bring you, gentlemen. And this is probably going to be bad news for you, but I just ask you, do you have any debt on this hospital you've just built? And they said, yes, we've got a bond we've got to pay off. All I can offer you is everything that you have put into the hospital, including the unpaid debt. We'll take the balance sheet for the hospital alone, but we will not take the balance sheet, for what you're needed for a prison or bridges. But I thought that's the end of that conversation. And finally, I got a call not too many days later, and they said, we thought over what you've shared with us, and we want you to come, but if you're going to do it, they're going to have some assurances. And Mary Webb said, how do we know that you're not going to come down here and just be a laid-back organization? And I said, well, I can give you every assurance that I'll do what's needed here for the community. We'll bend over backwards to meet those needs. When I came down, Mary said, are you willing to promise me, Mr. Jepson, that you will expand the services, to keep the quality and keep the cost as low as possible? And I said, absolutely. He stopped and said, you just acquired a hospital. And I said, that's great. And we'll keep your promises.
Now here we are, half century later, and we have world-class healthcare. We have lived true to the promise of becoming a model healthcare organization. Independent national media like U.S. News and World Report and Newsweek rank St. George at the top.
At St. George Regional Hospital, we have really grown a very comprehensive and robust cardiovascular program here. This includes what's termed structural heart. Essentially what that is what was traditionally reserved for open heart surgeries. Many of these patients now can have much more minimally invasive approaches. Other metrics that we look at when we're measuring our success of how well we're taking care of our patients in the community is how often you're having to come back into the hospital. So we look at readmission rates. And each one of these categories were well below the national average for readmission rates. When somebody comes into the hospital, we typically have a short period of time to actually get into their heart. We're considerably and significantly better at doing that as far as time to balloon time than the rest of the country when you look at the national averages.
Here in Southern Utah, we're doing amazing things with stroke. We have excellent stroke care here at St. George Regional Hospital. We are a Joint Commission certified primary stroke center. Once again, the American Heart Association has recognized us for top stroke care. In stroke care, time is brain. When a patient comes to our hospital, we work really hard to make sure that they get the treatment they need quickly. We are well below the goal times for imaging and treatment for stroke care, and we provide that care extremely quickly. At our hospital, we have capabilities to care for stroke patients that aren't available at other hospitals in the area. If I had a family member who had a stroke, this is where I'd want them to come.
In neurosurgery, we offer amazing care for our brain and spine patients. With neuro-oncology, we have been the first center to offer intraoperative MRI so that we can actually have an MRI scan of the patient's brain, especially with tumors, during surgery. We also are the only center that uses glialin, which is immunofluorescence, where I'm able to see tumor tissue versus brain tissue while I'm doing the operation. And that allows me to be more successful in actually removing the brain tumor, which improves patient outcomes. We're also a spine center of excellence for cervical and lumbar spine surgery and have been for the last 6 years. We've received multiple national awards, and I'm proud to be part of a team that offers the very best in brain and spine care.
The Women and Newborn Program at St. George Regional Hospital offers comprehensive services, including a 24/7 pediatric life flight service, a 24/7 neonatal life flight service, a simply birthing option for women who want to have a low intervention delivery, and a pediatric hospitalist team that's available 24/7 to take care of children in the hospital. This team has led to really great outcomes, including a C-section rate lower than the national average, early elective delivery rates lower than the national average, which decreases the likelihood that baby might end up in the neonatal intensive care unit. Additionally, we have an extremely low central line infection rate, with only one central line infection in the last 11 years. We couldn't do anything we do without the incredible people working here. We don't do this for us, we do this for you. We do this for our community. We do this for our families.
Young people entering the field of medicine today will see and do amazing things. We're a national leader in precision genomics right here from St. George, Utah. It's remarkable to consider all that's evolved from a handshake and a promise.
Someday, if I'm ever put on the witness stand, about Mary Webb or any of his ancestry, I'm going to have no trouble at all saying, we more than kept the promise.
Any questions?
Council. It's a great presentation, Cindy.
It's an amazing what happened in 1975 to where we are now. The 25 years that I've been involved with foundation and governing board, just to see it grow and develop. We are very, very blessed and lucky to have all of these services in our backyard. And I am, it is a pleasure to work with each one of you and your support of our burgeoning. I mean, you can't, we went from what, 45, 75 doctors to over 400, 500 doctors now. I can't even, luckily they put pictures on the screen so that you know what they look like. But just to see the quality of doctors and practitioners that come, just like your fire officials, they come from all over the nation because this is such an amazing place to be. So thank you for your support in making this a great place to come. And thank you for your support of St. George Regional Hospital. We'll see you in a year. Thank you.
Or maybe we'll see you sooner than that. But thank you. We appreciate all the efforts that the hospital does in the community and the good work that you continue to do. So we appreciate that. Thank you. Item C3, consider an amendment to fiscal year 2021-22 budget and approve ordinance 2022-14. Brock?
Yeah, so we had the presentation by Debbie on the amendment. So this is the formal part of actually adopting that budget amendment to adopt it and make it binding going forward. So nothing's changed since the public hearing. So.
Okay, any questions for Brock Council? You have the ordinance and the budget in your packet. Any question on the ordinance? There's no questions, and I would look for a motion.
So I move that we approve the amendment to the fiscal year 2021 to 2022 budget and approve ordinance 2022-14 as presented.
I second it.
Got a motion by Jarrett and a second by Denny to approve the amendment to the fiscal year 2021-22 budget and approve ordinance 22-14. Any question on that motion? This is a money item roll call vote. Jarrett?
Aye.
Denny?
Aye.
Krista?
Aye.
You guys have it. Thank you, council. Motion passes. Item C4, consider approval of the URS fraud risk assessment. Brock?
Actually, we turn this over to Debbie. We'll handle this item as well.
A couple years ago, the state auditor's office implemented this fraud risk assessment, and they have you go through it every year and review. And we haven't had any changes, so it's just the same as last year. We are 1 point away from being in the low risk level. And there's a few on there that are kind of an easy thing that we could do. I think it's our employees and elected officials required to annually commit in writing to abide by a statement of ethical behavior. That's 20 points. If we really wanted to get in the low level, we could just, move forward like that. But in reviewing other entities, fraud risk assessment, we're doing good. I mean, for a small entity, I think we have a smaller city, we have a very good coverage and very low risk, in my opinion. But again, this is what the state requires. You can go through and look at it, and we just have to produce it. There's a second page where it asks for different things. That's on there, I believe. So again, it's just to be compliant with the state auditor's office. And at the top, you can see the scoring, and then it shows below the different things. And then there's a second page of instructions and definitions. We would just like to present it so we could show that has been presented, and I can upload it to the state office, auditor's office web.
There's nothing that in this, it doesn't do anything as far as like insurance or anything like that, of depending where you fall as an increase insurance or not. It's just the state auditor's office just doing assessments, just trying to see what people are doing, see where people fall. I'm sure if we were to fall in that high or very high risk, then we might get a phone call and kind of, things you may want to start implementing. We're in the moderate risk. We have 315 points, which is, the top end of that. So at 316, we would be then considered low. So I'd say we're on that low end, but we could implement the annual writing of staff and elected officials to abide by the state ethical behavior. And we would be into that point, that low tier. I mean, like I said, we're 1 point from there. Other things that could look at if we wanted to is one of the options, another 20-point audit is having the formal audit committee, which we've never had a formal audit committee, but we do outsource and have an external auditor. Hinton Burdick is our auditor and come in each year and do our audit. So if council something we'd like to see us move into that low bracket, like I say, it doesn't change anything with us for the state auditors, but we'd be happy to do that if that would be something that council.
I'd like to see us do that. I think all of us that serve on other committees, like, we have to do that as part of the Flood Control Authority Committee. You're probably doing it on mosquito abatement. Anything on the county committee, you're doing it anyway.
Okay.
Let's make it happen.
Okay, we will.
Were there any findings other than they give you the rating, but they don't give you any findings?
No, we actually, this is all done by us. They just ask
they
the
do.
questions. We just
Question.
answer the questions and it kicks you out and it tells you, okay, if you do this, you get this point. If you do this, you get this points. And so then it just gives you that total and you upload it. And then it's just really an informational assessment for residents, anybody to go and look at to kind of can say, okay, they want to look and say, how's my local government doing in terms of, mitigating fraud? That's what it is just to see what they're doing. So
Do they offer some kind of form or example of that statement that we can use easily, or are we starting from scratch?
I'm sure we can get a hold of one. I have not looked, but I'm sure with the other, as the mayor stated, other people doing those, we can get a hold of one from one of these other committees easily and get it done really quick.
I think it'd be great.
Okay, does this require an approval, Brock?
Just for us to sign that we
Motion
presented to
approval.
you, yeah.
Just saying that it has been presented to council.
Okay, council, I would look for a motion to approve the URS fraud risk assessment as presented.
I'll make the motion to approve the URS fraud risk assessment as presented.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Krista and a second by Jarrett to approve the URS fraud risk assessment as presented. Any question on that motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, council. Mayor and council reports. Ben? Seeing none?
Very quiet tonight.
Lena? This is gonna go fast. Krista?
No report.
No. Danny?
I've been out of town enjoying Africa. It was great.
Jarrett?
Okay, I'll spoil the run there, sorry. So we did have a meeting with city staff and with the BMX track operator last week, discussing the parking lot up at Canyon View. I feel like we made really good progress there. And just so council knows, the plan right now is to at least get their pit row, kind of their new section, paved before their big race, their state race this fall. And then I think everyone left the room with an assignment to come back and kind of get that project moving forward. But it looks like we will go back to the county and ask for additional funds since the cost of that paving have gone up so much since we did that original grant. Then I also attended the Utopia pre-construction meeting that same day. And it looks like they're going to start here at the end of the month. Possibly they'd wait till after July 4th, but I think they'll start this month, the end. And Dustin can probably answer better than me, but it seemed like every question that staff had, they had an answer that probably surpassed what we were expecting. So I think it'll be a really good, smooth project. I did want to ask about a potential groundbreaking ceremony if we want to hold one. I've reached out to Utopia and haven't heard back. And so we might just want to do our own of some sort. I don't know, maybe staff can just think about that, but it's coming up pretty quick if we do want to do something. Just today, InfoWest caught me at a chamber event and said, hey, we really want to come out to a groundbreaking event and kind of drum up that interest. So it'd be nice if we could do something. And then I was just curious if we're going to have a fireworks map update before July 4th, or are we just rolling with what we already had?
Yeah, so I know this has been worked on just recently of updating information on the fire on the website with the fire department so they can get those maps up. I don't know if they are up yet. Chief can probably answer that, but I know that they've worked on doing that. So
Yeah, they're completed. We worked with the county maybe 2 weeks ago. We did have some changes in our website accessibility, so we'll just shoot that onto that. Have one of my part-timers do it, technology-wise. But we have the maps; they're all completed, both Ivans and Santa Clara. So,
okay,
yep. I can somehow we can maybe email it or whatever if you wanted immediate to see it. So,
okay, yeah, just in case any citizens ask us or anything, it's nice when we have that information ahead of time. And that's all that I have.
Okay. Any questions for Jarrett? Thank you, Jarrett. Appreciate it. The MPO met yesterday and we had a very interesting presentation from Utah Technical University, and Wayne Provost, who's at the Innovative Plaza over there, they've come up with some new ideas regarding light rail. It's a solar powered light rail. And they're going to approach probably the state and the federal to try and get some grants to come up with it. It's kind of an interesting concept they're looking at. They were looking for some support from the MPO and UDOT, and I think everyone, after hearing the presentation, was pretty supportive. And so the MPO is going to probably lead the request to get some additional grants for a demonstration project that could bring small scale light rail. These are solar powered cars that hold up to 50 people, 7 cars running each direction all the time. So it feels like they can get used, a network that would go throughout the metro area, including Santa Clara and Ivan. So we'll see. It's probably a long-term thing, but has to start somewhere. And so they're considering some discussions that way on the MPO right now. There was also a presentation on some of the sales tax that's coming from grocery store food that is increasing dramatically, and some tables. I'll forward some, or have Christelle put an exhibit together. I'll have to do it fast. So that shows the sales tax on food was kind of hovering fairly consistent through 2015, 16, 17, but in 18 it took off. And whether it's the pandemic or what do you want to say, but it's increasing exponentially. Harmon's is a really good deal for the city. You've never thought that. It really is a good deal for the city with the sales tax revenue that it brings to the city, and it's increasing every year and expected to continue to increase. The Western Corridor Environmental Study is on the tip. Transportation Improvement Plan, it's slated to get funded in year 5, which is 2026. So I'm going to try and accelerate that, but we at least have 1.5 million coming from the MPO to do the Western Corridor EA for the new roadway between Old Highway 91 and Gap Canyon Parkway in St. George. That's something that I would love to see underway right now, just due to the heavy traffic we're seeing on Santa Clara Drive. That could help that, but there is some money coming this way. It's just coming really, really slow. So we'll keep pushing them on that. There was a special meeting last night with the Water District. Christelle, have you got those slides where you can pull them up?
Which one?
I'm not going to go through all the slides, but just a couple. I mean, I can't let you guys go home before 6. I'd be failing as a mayor. So I would just want to run through a couple of these and just keep you in speed and make sure that I've got your support as kind of represent the city with the mayors. This is a slideshow that was presented to the mayors and some of the key staff last night. Go ahead and come down, Brock. Everything we do is based on an ERC, so it's basically an equivalent residential connection. It's how much water you need for one typical home in the county. They treat commercial as multiples of ERCs, so it could be 10 ERCs or 20 ERCs, but they refer everything back to what a typical home uses. Right now, the state, we were at 0.86 acre feet per year per residential connection. Based on the conservation efforts that have happened to date throughout the county, we've been able to reduce that required allocation to 0.78. The goal countywide is to get that down to 0.59. What this does is that we have a limited amount of water in the Virgin River Basin. If we can reduce our individual usage of that water, then that lets us take that same amount, that constant amount of water, and extend it farther. So we can provide for future growth as we move forward. The better we conserve, the more water can be available for the area to continue to grow. And so our target is to get to that 0.59. Some of the communities are already there. Ivans, with the large number of new multifamily and the Kayenta style development that doesn't have outside irrigation, is almost there right now, citywide. And so by incorporating their water conservation ordinance, pretty easy for them to meet. Santa Clara, we're using 0.86 right now, Dustin. So we're right about on the current allowable. So we've got a ways to go on the Santa Clara side. So it was important for us to put our water conservation ordinance in place. It's important for us to manage that. As we look at new development and the water coming with it, we will have to be careful that way. We need to get it down to the 0.59 going forward, and do everything we can. Come on down with the slides.
Are we still the only city with our ordinance in place?
No, Ivans has adopted theirs. Washington has adopted theirs. St. George has gone through Planning Commission, has recommended approval, and I think it's on the next city council meeting.
Okay.
For discussion. St. George is a little slower, but they did 2 steps. They put the water conservation in, and then they took the step to incorporate the will serve letters into their Title 10, their land development ordinance. They did that all. And so we've still got that second step to do. We're going to cover that in just a minute. All the new construction throughout the county is subject to the ordinance. It takes about 0.25 acre feet for indoor. 0.34 has been allotted even under the 0.59. With some of our higher, this is one of the advantages of some of the higher density, some of the apartment projects, they're going to get to that 0.25 and they're going to be really low on their outside water use. So it's going to help offset some of the high water use that we've got out here. That's just one of them, unintended consequences we're going to see a little bit. And it's part of the reason why Santa Clara is so high right now is because we don't have any of those projects. We're entirely today, as far as what's been built, single family townhomes with a low number of occupied townhomes. So it's primarily our single family lots that's driving our water usage. And that'll change as the area continues to grow and some of these projects that we've seen start to get built.
I want to ask, when you say 25.25 acre feet, what does that equate to in gallons?
I figured you'd ask. It's about 120,000 gallons a year. 130.
Isn't the 130 roughly is the 0.59? Is in that ballpark?
How are you going to make them do the math?
I think going back to the previous meetings at the water district, I think the 0.59 was equating to, I'll say roughly 12,000 gallons per month at the 0.59. So if you're going to take that, roughly a little more than half, you're equating down to about 70,000-ish gallons annually you would be allotted for your indoor use.
So what is, if we're talking 0.86, are we 26,000 gallons a month average for indoor use?
Well,
you're going to make me do the math.
I've got it up on Google here if you want me to just tell
Get
you.
on them, Jared.
So 0.86 acre feet is 280,000 gallons.
A year. Divide by 12.
I don't have a calculator up, but
20 some odd, 21.
0.59 is 192,000 gallons.
I know, and I'll say, I know that's the number that kicks up, it's that, but at the water district, they've talked about it's not that number, it's much less based on some other factors in there that it's closer to like the 144, 150,000 is what, I don't know his name, but the one engineer, water guy at the water district that said that's more like what the number is. So, because I know it really does equate down to like 12-ish, 14,000 gallons per month is what you would be allotted.
And that takes into effect that you've got lower volumes in the winter, higher volumes in the summer with your outdoor use. Okay, keep going. If we were to continue at our current usage, right now we'd be deficient. With the current number of lots and owners that are out there, if they were all using that 0.89, we'd be 230 or 273 in the hole. By making changes to that, we actually start to create a surplus. If everybody right now is using that 0.78, we get a surplus. If we drop it down to 0.59, surplus gets bigger. Go ahead. Through 2022, with the lots that are under construction and no new district projects, you can kind of see the deficit starts to get quite a bit bigger. So we have to continue with the district water projects that we've got going on. We need to continue that direction, but we also need to incorporate better water conservation to get that number down. This is kind of the ways that we're going about it. And we've already done some of this. The municipal landscape ordinance, ours is in place. The excess water surcharge, we've adopted that surcharge. We're going to be doing it again. And the surcharge is going to get a little bit more complicated, but it's going to start looking at it every month, and you're going to see what you're allotted on a month by month. And it's going to take that summer increase into play. And if you start, and it's going to be more than the $1 a 1,000-gallon surcharge that it is now. They're talking $10, $12, $15 a 1,000 if you go over that allotment. So you're going to see a lot higher penalty if you're using too much water. This is on new development. We'll have to look at, for the existing development, the conservation incentives, being able to pay people to remove grass, to install some of the smart irrigation controllers, those types of things, so that we take our existing residents and be able to lower that one as well. That's important. And then the big thing is the will serve letter. This is something that I've directed staff to go ahead and start working on the ordinance language to get ready for the will serve letter to be built into our subdivision ordinance. And this is going to happen countywide. Go ahead. Everybody agreed to this last night. It was a big concern, but there was agreement from the Mayor's Association countywide. This is what everybody took a questionnaire on what you had that would be considered, in my mind, vested. How many final plat approvals? How many preliminary plat and construction plan approvals are under construction? How many of those ERCs are out there right now countywide? There's almost 16,000 of them, and that number's low. This number's a couple months old. I watched St. George City Council approve about 200 the other day. We've got one coming, so it's a moving target. So this number's a little bit low. Go to the next one. This is the process that we're proposing. The mayors and the Water Conservancy District are proposing that in order to get a will serve letter from the district, and what you're seeing now is with the heightened concern and interest amongst land developers, and more particularly the lenders that are lending money for land development, they're asking for will serve letters. They want some type of a guarantee that somebody is going to provide that new project with wet water. Our ordinance refers to a will serve letter, but there's no such thing that exists as of today in Washington County. This is going to the process where you'd be able to get a will serve letter. And I think everybody's agreed that if you have your preliminary plat approval, if you have your approved construction plans, stamped construction plans ready to go, and you go pay your impact fee, you would get a will serve letter from the water district. So the water district would assume the burden of providing wet water for that unit if you go to that level. You'd have a year to record your final plat. You can get some extensions on that, but you have to be really making an effort. An extension may be given for a subdivision that's under construction and had to wait 6 months for transformers, which we know is very real. So you'd have to be making that effort. The other thing that we talked about at detail last night was creating a standby fee. In our utility rates, we have base charges for power and water that apply to when you go get a connection and then you're a winter home, so you're not here, you still have to pay that base. Under the theory that the city has to have that resource available for you. If you turn on your switch or your tap, we have to have the water and the power to provide for you. That costs the city money. So we charge them a base rate to cover those costs. What we're talking about doing here is that when that final plat records, even though there's not a home on it, the property owner is going to start paying a base fee, because the same thing applies on a new subdivision. On every vacant lot out there that's recorded and vested, we have to pay the cost to provide water, power, storm drainage, or that lot. Even though there's not a home there yet, we have to have the resource available for it. And so I think this part is gonna, the TAC, Dustin's group is gonna look at this in more detail and come up with a fee, but I would see that could be at least, you know, a low number would be $50 a month. It could exceed that going forward. And so when that final plat records, every lot in there is gonna start getting a bill from the city for that base resource charge. That's gonna encourage a couple of things. We don't want a super builder with loaded pockets to come into town and tie up all the will serve letters. So there's going to be a cost associated with getting one and banking that lot for 5 or 6 years. So I've got something to do tomorrow and the next day. They're going to have to start paying those costs, trying to make it so we grow more consistently and it's fair across the board for all potential developers and home builders. They're going to the Home Builder Association with this. We expect them to go along with it. I think we got some good sign on from the other mayors. It's been a point of dispute between some of the mayors and some of the communities. And so I'm hopeful that it happens. We'd like to get this all in so that it took effect by January 1 of 2023. So that's, I mean, it sounds like it's a long time away and it'll be here tomorrow. So I've instructed staff to go ahead and get started in the process. With that, with your concurrence, I want to keep you guys in the loop because I go to these meetings and I represent the city, and I want to make sure that I got your back. We've had a lot of good discussion, and I think we're going in the right direction. But I want to keep you in the loop, and please let me know if you're not happy with any of this stuff, and then I'll send you the meeting. Okay, keep going. Everybody supported that. This will come back to you. We're going to talk a lot more about water surcharge and what those fees are going to be. And so I'll bring this back to you in the future. We're not anywhere close to that, but it's going to change how we bill. I've been told that our accounting system has the ability to do this. And I got confirmation, so good. Because it's going to really complicate the water billing. They're going to continue to do the projects, and we're going to look at projects that we can do. We've still got some water rights in Snow Canyon that we have not developed yet. And so I've asked Dustin to look at that and come back with something that we can look at developing as much of that water right as we can ourselves, because it'll come back into play on the surcharge and stuff that way. The second part is reuse. The regional reuse system is really the key to the continued growth in Washington County. That is taking the reuse water and delivering it back to the cities so that it can go into the secondary irrigation. We can use reuse for secondary, as well as the high water in the Santa Clara and the fields and the other places. So the more of that water we have, the easier that's going to be to get that water back. They're looking at a joint effort to file. Every city we produce how many thousand gallons of sewage every month? Annually. 821 million gallons. Okay, so there's how much water we send to the plant. We can file on that water. That's our water. We file on it, we can put it in the regional reuse system and get that water back. That's how Las Vegas Valley continues to develop. They treat their effluent, their sewer water, they put it in Lake Mead. They go over here and they take it back out of Lake Mead, and they can do that as long as they put it in, they can take it out. It's just a big recircling thing. They've got Lake Mead there they can store it in. We don't have a Lake Mead yet, so that's why the reuse storage projects, the Graveyard Wash, the dry wash, the Warner Valley Dam, that's our Lake Mead in that scenario. We can take our reuse water, store it, reuse it, pump it back, and just continue that cycle. That will provide a bunch more water and take care of our outdoor use, and then we can convert our outdoor use to culinary and provide for additional growth and development in the community. So that's kind of the 10,000-foot level of what's going on. There's 3 or 4 meetings a month happening. There's a lot of closed door negotiation, trying to keep all the cities together. My opinion is we're better if we work together and not to break apart the water agreement and every city go on its own. I still believe we're better working together, and it's the only way you're going to get any major project like Lake Val Pipeline done. And even the Warner Draw reuse project done is if we're all in there together. And so I hope that all the other communities are on the same page, but there's a brief recap. If you got questions, I'm happy to share everything I know. It won't take long. And that's, I think, all I had. Yeah, I got them past 6. That was my goal.
I have a question. It might be too early for the question, but will there be a mechanism for residents to know if they're reaching that next tier or getting those extra charges?
Yeah,
Their water
they can look at their meter. They can get an app on their phone and monitor their usage.
Okay.
Right?
I don't think we got that.
We chose not
For that upgrade yet.
But it's possible.
It is.
Yeah.
How much is it?
25,000 to start, I believe.
Is that for the citywide?
Yeah.
But they will see on their bill, and then there'll be a line item will say what their surcharges are.
But how will I month to month say, hey, we got to stop watering our grass or I'm going to start getting big charges? I mean, it's ahead of the fact instead of after.
I think as we start to implement the surcharge, there's going to have to be a big public education, kind of like we did with the electrical. What's it called?
Power cost adjustment.
That's it. That's the one.
I was with you. Electric.
We have the same process that's going to happen with water, except I think we maybe take it a step farther. Maybe we get this app that they can put on their phone where you can monitor your usage as you go. And then once you know that, hey, when I cross that line, there's trouble.
Right.
We're trying to get some of that 500 million the state put into turf buyback. That's the golden ticket. I have a lot of people call me and say, how much will you pay me if I take out my grass?
Yeah, I got one the other day.
And I say, I said, I won't pay you nothing. It'll save you a bunch of money on your water bill. And if you wait a little while, there's supposed to be money coming via the state and the water district to be able to do that. I can't tell you an exact date. And some of them, like my neighbor, Brent Rabin, just took everything out front and back. He made the jump, make the plunge, and did it on his own. So, and I know a lot of people in town, they forgot they had a lawn or they're planning on taking the lawn out because they're letting it die and turn into native vegetation slowly. But I think those are some decisions that we'll have to make as we get more information on the surcharge and what's going to be available. Do we invest in the software so we can get it to them information faster? Do we have some town hall meetings to explain it, try and teach people some literature, those types of things? The district will help us out with a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. And I just to add, when we went through and shifted to Eaton, the discussion of the app, kind of the reason I think we went away from is based on Eaton's history and they had said it usually gets used and is monitored the first 3 to 6 months because it's new and people watch it and then they kind of, okay, I kind of know what I do. But us going this route might help facilitate the need for it more than just really then was looking like it was just more information. People just kind of, okay, I know what I do. But now it's information that is really needed versus I just want to see what's happening.
When we set those rates, and if it's a real penalty rate,
right, I'd like to know ahead of time.
I think that's what's going to happen.
And it saves the water too. So
absolutely. So Any other questions? Say, get with me. You've got some questions, concerns. We'll talk about it a lot between now and the end of the year. Staff's working on some things that we need for it. So it'll occupy some time. We don't have executive session tonight.
We do not.
Okay, staff, really quickly. Anybody got anything? Chief, you came to the meeting. I'd give you a chance. It's always good to see you anyway. Fred, you don't get to come here very often. Have you got a report? Yeah. Say, well, wake him up, Chief. Ryan Parks. Oh, he's got something.
So, first of all, we had a tournament last week, Wednesday through Saturday night. It was girls softball from California. Big event for them as their AMA Nationals. Everything went great. We got a lot of positive feedback. The garden's going strong. Just in the past few days, 184 pounds of apricots, 770 pounds of carrots, and 68 pounds of summer squash have gone to the food bank.
That's awesome.
Apricots.
I've been waiting for my apricots to show up in the basket.
They came down a lot faster than I was expected.
Are they gone?
There's still a few trees that have some that are not quite there yet. The majority of them are gone, but there's still a few hanging around.
Better
So-
save some.
Okay, I'll let them know. Trees will be coming down and starting in a couple of weeks. Jim Ant says he's got some hay he's doing for the next week or so, and then he's going to start on the north end, moving south. Anybody that wants to come and help cut down trees or cut down their own, or if you want firewood, he's asked to be contacted because he can either do it for you, help you, or he wants to keep the stump a foot and a half off the ground. And so he has something to hook onto and he pulls the stumps out and branch piling and stuff like that. Other than that, we're in our busiest time of year for general maintenance, so it's keeping us busy.
Questions for Ryan? Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Dustin, we'll come back to her. Nothing? Chief?
I mentioned we're expanding our volunteer opportunities for youth. So 16 to 21, it's no cost to us, it's just time. It's called Fire Exploring, but it's a national program. I went through it after 16 and all the way through and got me into the fire service early, but opening that up on our website. So if you will probably have, I'm guessing, quite a few applicants come through, but it's through the scouting system. So just wanted to throw that out there. That's it.
Thank you. Scout's good. Bodie? Deb? Anything, Jim?
Sad, this is the first council meeting I've been to, PC tomorrow night, in several months where I didn't have to present, so it was nice to sit back and listen.
Okay, Brock. I know you got like 17 things.
Nope. No, I'm just gonna be good.
Christelle? Does everybody know that Friday's Christelle's last day?
What? No.
Okay, come on up to the front. You guys stand up for this one. Tell us where you're going, what you're going to be doing.
I'm trying not to cry, but it's kind of hard and emotional for me, but I've made a tough decision it kind of just happened super quick. I wasn't really planning on it, but I made the decision to kind of pivot and go towards a different career route. I was approached by, you guys know, Coal West Development Group, Drake, there to join their team, working with their project management. So yeah, I just really feel like I am ready for like a new challenge and a new opportunity. And I'm going to miss the city so much, but I've thought a lot about it, and I really just feel like this is the route I'm supposed to go right now. And I'm just want to say thank you to all of you guys. You guys have all been amazing to me and such mentors to me. And I wouldn't be like where I'm at right now if it wasn't for each of you guys and all the many different areas I've worked in the city and all the skills I've learned and the opportunities I've had. But yeah, it's sad, but I'm really excited. I'm really happy to be moving to a different career. But yeah, you guys have any questions for me?
Well, do we need to make it more difficult so you can stay?
I've thought a lot about it, but I just really think this is what I'm supposed to do right now. But
well, we're going to miss you more than you're going to miss us, I'm pretty sure.
I'll miss you guys.
But tell Drake, if you're not the one here presenting his project, just don't even show up.
Yeah, he's great. So I'm excited, but I sure am going to miss you guys.
Well, thank you, Christelle.
Yep.
We appreciate it. Do I do the other announcement or wait?
You can, or you can do it after. Either way, your choice.
I'm going to go ahead and do it. Scott and Debbie found their dream home when they were in Minnesota earlier. You're just tagging along. And so they'll be leaving the city too next month, July
20th
of July. So about a month from now. So the city's in Sherrill is leaving when?
August 4th.
So yeah. Hope you guys are ready to put in a little OT. We got some work ahead of us. You get started on it, buddy. I'll come up and help you. But so yeah, we'll save their testimony meeting for a little later. But just so everybody knows, and there's going to be some changes, and that makes us stronger, right, bro?
Mm-hmm. Have opportunity for growth and get better.
So I appreciate them. Appreciate everybody. Thanks for being here tonight. We don't need executive session. We do have birthday. We got ice cream too. After, so yeah, so everybody stick around and wish Krista happy birthday. And all I need is a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion by Denny and a second by Krista to adjourn the meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're done.